Are we having fun yet, Stars fans? Heck yeah, we are. The Stars take a 3-1 series lead with a 3-1 win, taking 2 straight at home, 1 game away from their 3rd straight Western Conference Finals. Nice sip. Hello, Sudsies. You guys are such awesome Spits and Suds teammates. I'm Gavin Spittle with 105.3 The Fan. Thank you so much for listening and supporting Spits and Suds. We have so many tweets on X to get to. You guys popping frosties as we speak. Lots of feedback to get to, but first, a few things on tonight's game to discuss. I'm going to throw out a few dates and let you know why they're so crucial. October 17th of last year, the Stars announced they have signed an 8-year contract with Jake Oettinger. That confidence by that organization to say, Jake, you're our guy, and paying him at a rate where the expectation is of an elite level. And tonight, that contract was well worth it. We always talk about, can Jake Oettinger steal you games? And while obviously the Granlund hat trick and the Stars play in the 3rd period certainly made a difference in the game, as well as the penalty killing and going 2 for 4 on the power play, I really do believe Jake Oettinger stole you this game with his play. To me, number 1 star. High danger chances by Winnipeg stifled by Jake Oettinger. I think certainly in the first 2 periods, you could say Winnipeg was probably the better team. Just the Stars took opportunities and made the most of them. In fact, Jake Oettinger with big saves on Perfetti, Scheifele, Connor. He's playing with a ton of confidence. Positioning, vision, top tier right now. I don't think that the Stars would be 3-1 heading back to Winnipeg if it wasn't for Jake Oettinger. I think it would be 2-2. Winnipeg gets back home ice. Oettinger becomes the 2nd goaltender in North Stars history to record 30 playoff wins. He's now 14 behind Ed Belfour, the all-time lead as far as playoff wins by a North Stars goalie. February 1st of this year, Tyler Seguin and Miro Heiskanen injured Jim Nill announces that Mikael Granlund and Cece are coming from the San Jose Sharks for a 1st-round pick with a conditional 3rd. By the way, if you're wondering if the Stars do reach the Stanley Cup final this season, the Sharks get Dallas's 3rd-round pick in the 2025 draft. If Dallas does not, it's a 4th-round selection instead. So just a little clarification for you. But Mikael Granlund and Cece come. Many people upset that 1st-round pick goes to San Jose. 1st-round picks are a tremendous asset. And the Stars, after Mikael Rantanen and this trade, certainly do not have many in the upcoming years. Very rich to give up a 1st-rounder. But I don't think the Stars are where they are without Mikael Granlund and Cece, and certainly without Mikael Rantanen. Cece, he's not mentioned much as far as what a solid fit he's been on the blue line paired with Esa Lindell and killing penalties. Tonight, 3rd for defenseman in time on ice, just over 20 minutes. We also forget the playoff experience of Cece and going to the Stanley Cup last year with Edmonton and playing a nice role as far as their penalty kill last year. And how about Mikael Granlund? So I get that Hellebuck should stop goals that are far out. And I'm one of those guys, I really look at the positioning. And I think on a couple of those shots, certainly Hellebuck could have maybe not crouched down as much. There are other goalie experts that we could certainly talk to that would give a more definitive answer. However, all three of those Granlund shots were pinpoint sizzlers. He was dialed in tonight. Vet experience with Cece and Granlund as far as as far as knowing where to be on the ice at the right time, when to shoot and when to pass. That breakout on the power play, the first goal, when Mikael Granlund is given a lot of room to breathe and passes the blue line. He has two players on each side of him. But what Winnipeg gave, Granlund took and got off a nice shot. Just an absolutely wonderful trade by Jim Nill to get those two players that are contributing like they are. And now with Heiskanen back, 19 shifts, 14:52 on the ice, 1 assist. He was gassed, but I mean, what would you expect? I think Stars fans are used to this with Jason Robertson, and you can see Jason Robertson getting stronger. And now you'll see Miro Heiskanen gaining confidence. The play will slow down for Miro in the next few games. Kind of get that mojo back. But he was really excited to be back on the ice, and it was great to have him back on the ice. The instincts are there. It's just the body has to come along with it, and it will. But this team is finding creative ways to win, and different players at different times are stepping up. That's a beautiful thing. It was not the Mikael Rantanen show tonight. It was the Mikael Granlund show. It was the Jake Oettinger show. Different players stepping up, and that equals depth on your team. I don't know how I feel about the 7 defenseman setup after watching it tonight. I like how Miro's minutes were limited, but I think once Miro gets up to speed, you most likely will see them probably going back to 6 defensemen. You guys have some awesome tweets. Green Star in Nashville. Hey, Gavin, are we sure that wasn't Mikko in Granlin's sweater? What a performance. More Finns equal more wins. Wow, that sounds like a winning t-shirt right there. More Finns equal more wins. Cheers, my friend. Yeah, that whole Finn line is just killing it in these playoffs. What a job by the organization, the coaches, Pete DeBoer, putting the 3 of them together and keeping them together. And tonight it was Granlund. And that's great. And here's why it's great. Because obviously, lots and lots of tape will be watched. And everyone's going to want to focus on Mikko Rantanen. But the reality is you have 2 other players that can put the puck in the net in Granlin and Hintz. So you have to respect them on the ice, and that's going to open up possibilities for Mikko Rantanen. And if you go too strong toward Mikko Rantanen's side, that's going to open up Granlin and or Hintz. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And that's what happens when you add an elite player to your roster. Reed Copeland. Can we say how enjoyable it is to have a defenseman dilemma and opt to run 11-7 where last year we were rolling only 5? What a difference a year makes, go Stars. Yeah, certainly is a difference as far as defensive depth. And think about it this way as well, is you have 2 vets that if you do have injuries, they can come in. I mean, obviously, if they go back to 6 and Petrovic's the odd man out, he'll stay with the squad and he could fit in. But you have a guy in Matt Dumba that can come in, and people will say, wow, why would you want Matt Dumba in? I mean, I don't at this point. But rather than call someone up from the minors, think about the experience you're getting by inserting Matt Dumba. That's pretty impressive. You could also insert Smith. So you have defensive depth this year more than you have in a long time. Justin says, Jets are a solid team. I wouldn't count them out. Thoughts on 11 forwards and 7D? How long do you think they run this for? I think when Miro's up to speed, they move on from that. I really do. But for now, you know what? It's working. So, why change it? All right, let's move down to Jason Rosenbaum. That was a fun, nail-biting playoff game. Question, the last few games here have been different athletes and celebrities sitting on the glass. Dude Perfect, Tyler Booker, and Paige Beckers. Do the Stars invite them out, or do they buy them themselves? Great question. I will pull back the curtain, and in these cases, they are invited out, and they receive free tickets. It's good publicity. You want the city to rally. Teams make deals behind the scenes. In other words, like, for instance, the Stars will have some Cowboys out at a game, probably a playoff game, and likewise, the Stars will come out for a Cowboys game. I know the Stars and Rangers have that kind of relationship. So it's just kind of a mutual understanding, and it's good. They technically compete for ad sales dollars and ratings locally, but there's a bigger picture here. And how awesome is it that Paige Beckers has embraced Dallas-Fort Worth, eating at Hurtado Barbecue, going to the game tonight? That's just awesome. And it's really cool that the area has supported her and the Dallas Wings. I mean, Dallas Wings tickets are hot right now, and that is really, really cool. Just makes me want a professional women's hockey league game here. I mean, put it in Frisco if you have to. But let's see New York take on Boston. Hannah Bilka and Allie Simpson return to DFW. Matt Gwynn, just a shout out to you, Gavin, and 105.3 The Fan for being a classy station with structure. Driving home, listening to another station after the game, and it's just absolute trash of a post-game show. Wanted to hear a recap of the great win. Go Stars. Also, re-sign Granlund. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment. As I said, Stars fans, you deserve this. You created this podcast. I said, I'm going to create something because you were calling the radio station and saying nobody talks Stars. So I said, okay, I'll talk Stars. I'll do a podcast. It was originally called Sweaters Forever. You guys won't listen, and that'll be the end of it. And it turns out you guys did listen. You guys are encouraging. You guys are awesome teammates. Absolutely get up for doing these things. And it's because of you. So you created this, and you guys motivate me to do programs day and night to give you as much Stars information as possible. So thank you very much for the compliment. And I stick tap you as well for listening and supporting Spits and Suds. And let me get that plug in. If you subscribe to Apple and you want to get in a review, it really helps us with search engine optimization. If you can tweet about Spits and Suds, if you can tell others about Spits and Suds, if you're on a Dallas Stars message board and you mention Spits and Suds, all that helps. One at a time. In fact, I was driving on some side streets of Dallas the other day, and there was a little boy, and they didn't hear my car. It's a very quiet vehicle. And so they didn't hear me coming. I was going very slow. So it was a father and a grandfather, and the kiddo was in like one of those little electric cars and just putting along. And I was really enjoying it. And the father turned around and saw and then ushered him to the side of the road. And I say all that to say the father was apologizing. I said, oh, no problem. We had a good laugh. And the father was wearing a Stars cap. And I said, are you a big Stars fan? He goes, oh, massive. And I was like, have you ever heard of Spits and Suds? And he goes, no, what's Spits and Suds? And so I explained the podcast, and he got out his phone and he was looking it up. And if you're listening, thank you so much if you joined us. So one at a time, that's all we're trying to do. One at a time. Let's grow this thing together. All right. David, let's see. I'll get to David's tweets in a second because he was replying. Let's see. David says, respectfully disagree with you, Gavin, on the Jamie Benn penalty, because I said an absolutely horrific penalty by Benn. That was in the third period. Stars up 3-1. No reason up 2 goals and controlling the play to send Winnipeg on the power play. Remember, Winnipeg, despite their non-success on the man advantage, they were tops in the league for the majority of the year. I don't want that mojo coming back to them. David replies, respectfully disagree with you, Gavin. Scheifele should have been called for attacking Lindell. I love that Ben went in there, and I would hope like hell he would do it again. The captain sent a message. So I replied that was playoff hockey, what Lindell and Scheifele did as far as kind of pushing each other. Maybe they get sent off in the regular season. But when you're Jamie Benn and you come in and you truck someone like that and you weren't involved in the initial play, that's a guarantee penalty every single time. And up 2 goals with that amount of time remaining, it's not like there was 30 seconds remaining. You cannot put the Jets on the power play. If they score there, there's plenty of time to tie it up. And by the way, don't we have some experience with that with Vancouver? So I understand sending a message. David, absolutely love you, but at the same time, I just don't want to do that. And let's see. Another person says, don't placate to this tool. Ben did exactly what he should have. Lindell can't let that slide, but the Stars need him on the PK, so he can't go 1-for-1. Also, Lindell can't fight. So Ben came in and did what Lindell shouldn't do. We then survived another week. Well, I don't feel as though I'm a tool, to be honest with you. And he says, Gavin, do more thoughtful analysis before spewing rhetoric. Well, can't always be positive, right? But I mean, the fact of the matter is, I'm going to stick with what I said. Jamie Benn is committing too many needless penalties. I don't care. You're up 3-1. You have to turn the other cheek. If they're baiting you. They are baiting you into a penalty at that point. That's what you guys have to understand. They have the best power play in the NHL. Yes, the Stars have done an amazing job on the kill. 0-for-3 tonight by Winnipeg. But that could have been a momentum changer if they get one by Autinger. All right. Reed Copeland says, take a sip, Gavin. Cheers. Absolutely. You know what? After that last tweet, I certainly would. Secondary non-Miko goals are going to be key the rest of the way. So Granlin carrying us tonight was incredibly encouraging. What skill he displayed on each of the 3 goals, I agree. Do not underestimate where those goals were shot. Stick tap Jim Nill again. I'm fascinated to see Otter on TH in closeout opportunities, meaning game 5 in just a few days. Stacey Nolan. If you didn't know his name, you know it now. Jake Oettinger. Wow, what a game from Jake. Enough said. Stick tap to Essa and PK boys again. They bailed Ben out. Great job, Gavin. Thanks, friend. Thank you, Stacey. Important to point out, with the 7 defensemen, Blackwell was the odd man out. So you did see Rupe Hintz on some penalty killing. You kind of saw a variety. But Interesting to point out that the Stars' penalty kill is still very strong, even without Blackwell in the lineup. Robbie G was fine with the Benn penalty, even at that juncture of the game. I think that's the captain leading, and the PK will reward him for that like they did. Maybe during the regular season, I'm okay with that, Robbie. I'm just not okay with that at that juncture in the game. I just think that they're baiting you, and you can't accept that. You know, it was kind of like what Lowry was doing to Mason Marchment. Listen, Benn and Marchment are going to have targets on their back as far as the Jets trying to draw the extra 2 from them. And you just can't take the bait. Trust me, if you listen to this podcast, you know Gavin Spittle is pro physicality. You know I'm all about sticking up for my teammates. But there comes a time and a place. And to me, like for instance, say Vegas advances next round. Okay? Obviously, Mark Stone's the one that took out Miro Heiskanen back in January. Was it a dirty play? I don't think it was a dirty intentional play. It was just a bad play by Mark Stone. Okay? But does that mean that the Stars should go after Mark Stone if they play Vegas? And I will give you the example. Okay? When Jamie Benn did what he did to Mark Stone, did Vegas retaliate? Yes, they did. When did they retaliate? Fast forward to the opener when they asked Jamie Benn to fight and he accepted. Because you couldn't do it during the playoffs because you did not want to go into the penalty box in the Western Conference Finals. Kaushik Kanan been getting into non-alcoholic Frosties recently. Tastes just as great. That's a Budweiser Zero. Nice. Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you for sending me the Frosty pitcher. Chris Stabkoven. Yingling Flight is my Frosty of choice tonight, Gavin. Boy, what an impressive showing Yingling has in Texas. They just started just a few years back. Just a Pittsburgh staple coming down to Texas, doing really well. We stuck it out on defense and secured the win. Man, how about Jim Nill? The moves he made. Wow. Yeah. I was all about GM of the year going to Columbus or Washington. I still think the Capitals GM should get it. I love the trade of Jacob Chikrin. I love how they transform this Washington Capitals team. But at the same time, man, Jim Nill, he doesn't just pull a trigger for players that fit in. It's almost like they rise to the occasion where you have to look back and you have to say to yourself, like, when was the last time that there was truly a bust? Like Max Domi played well when he was here, wanted to re-sign here. And that's the other thing that we don't talk about, the environment that Jim Nill has created here, which draws players in that makes them think maybe I should sign an extension here. But Evgeny Dadonov traded to the Montreal Canadiens for Denis Gurianov, what a terrific trade that was. And I actually think Dadonov played pretty well tonight. Chris Tanev arrives from Calgary and you don't have to give up a top prospect. You gave a prospect up that Calgary liked, but you gave up draft capital and a guy that might not have made your pro roster. Then we go to Granlin and Cece, and it was a first round pick and either a third or fourth round pick. And then we go to Mikael Rantanen and the impact that he's made. And oh yeah, not just the trades, the fact that, as mentioned, signing here, Mikael Rantanen 8 more years. And if you don't think that's enticing for Granlund, I mean, he might get the bag elsewhere. But Duchesne is not taking a lot of money to be here. Sam Steele took a fair deal. Players want to play here because they see the possibility. Wasuko says, so happy to see Doby, meaning Anton Hudobin, who was at the game. Throwback. Going 3-1 to Winnipeg is a great feeling. Yeah, much better than 2-2. Starting to look like a rematch with the Oilers. Bring it. Man, the Oilers are pretty hot right now. Pretty hot Edmonton Oilers. But I'm not going to give up on Winnipeg. You might disagree with this, but listening to Winnipeg in the post, they felt as though they played really well, and I agree with them. I think for the most part, they played better than the Stars. The score didn't reflect that, but they played better than the Stars. That said, something happened where the Stars came out and played their game in the third period and dominated. Thought that was really impressive. Like out of the gate, up. They did not go into a shell. They were aggressive. Really appreciated that in the third period, and it paid dividends. And that's a very nice drink you have in your hand. Looks like it's a little bit of whiskey. All right, Chris Barnard, Stick Taps, huge win. Going to sip on an extra Añejo tequila over rocks to celebrate. Nice. Hoping for more wear and tear on the other Western Conference series, but Edmonton seems like they may have it under wraps. Vegas has nothing left. Your thoughts on that series? Edmonton's playing really well. Edmonton's healthy. I think Edmonton's goaltending is certainly a question mark. And honestly, Adin Hill has not played the best either. So maybe the Stars can exploit that if they can get to the next round. I'm just telling you guys, Winnipeg's not going to go down easy, in my opinion. And I think the Stars are going to want to close this out. Obviously, why wouldn't they? But Craig Ludwig says that that's one of the toughest things to do in hockey is close another team out. So if it's Vegas or Edmonton, you have to play who's in front of you. But as I mentioned in a podcast earlier today, when we were talking to our friends in Winnipeg, one of the things that bothers me about this new playoff format is the fact that the Central Division gauntlet is much more than the other division. In other words, Minnesota certainly made it tough because they were a wild card team and from the Central on Vegas. But if you're Edmonton, basically you have the LA Kings and then you have Vegas, and that does not compare to Winnipeg, who had to go through the hottest team in hockey in St. Louis, and then the Dallas Stars, or the Stars, who had to go through Colorado, and then the President's Trophy winner, Winnipeg. So I just feel as though that other division has a little bit of an advantage. And for those that don't know, if they were in the old format, it would have been Edmonton versus Dallas in round one. So probably not easier than Dallas, Colorado. I mean, just the West is just a total wagon. All right. Lisa Monk says, I loved it, and I loved Rope throwing some punches in response to the Ben penalty. I mean, kudos to you guys. You guys are going for it and think that that was really good by Ben. I just think it was untimely and unnecessary. He could have went in there and done it without getting the penalty. All right. Eden Shallow, only 1 p.m. here in Australia, so sticking with a Coke. Cheers, Gavin. And you know what? Cheers to Australia. Does that mean I get to go to Australia and visit? As I said, I would visit every Spits and Suds out of towner. That would be great. Let me know if you have an extra room, Eden. If the Stars have to choose between Duchesne or Granlund to sign in the offseason, who should they prioritize? Can't wait for Game 5. Hopefully we can close this series out. So here's the difference, Eden. I do think you have the opportunity to get both. but it's going to be a tough decision. You might have to say goodbye to Jamie Benn. But here's the deal with Duchesne that we don't have with Granlund. One more year of a big payout from Nashville. In other words, I think Matt Duchesne comes back on a 1-year, $3 million deal. Granlund currently makes about $5 million a year. If I'm the Stars, I offer him 3 for 15 or 2 for 10. And if he can go out and get a better deal than that, but because of his age, I'm not so sure the Mikael Granlund long-term contract will necessarily be there. But we will see. If I had a choice, even though Granlund's been much better than Duchesne, I think you bring back Matt Duchesne because I think you need that extra $3 to $4 million of cap space to sign somebody else. But if you can get both and make some other moves, I certainly think you need to do that. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Eden, you chiming in from Australia. All right, J Lux 007, so much to say, so I'll go with less obvious. Props to coaching staff and managing line changes with 7 defensemen, 11 forwards. I thought Robo's best game yet. Yeah, I definitely think he's getting better, Jeffrey. You're right on that. Prevented a wraparound goal and a solid ozone play. Still haven't won the series. 4th is the hardest. Let's go. Yeah, I actually think Jason Robertson's pretty feisty in front of the net as well. So kind of liking that part of his game. What the Blickens? Kippis. That means cheers. So I think I said that right in Finn. Man, these Finns keep scoring hat tricks in games that would otherwise be remembered as Otter's night. Since you said cheers, I have to drink. Side note, I know you and the broadcast were hard on Ben for his late penalty, but am I crazy for not minding that his hot PK could just burn 2 minutes without no icings? Now, that is an interesting point. There is something to be said for a penalty and being shorthanded late in the game so you can clear the puck without icing. Yes, but you are down a man, and I just do not want that Winnipeg power play to get going. Dylan Moreland, big W, would be just fine rolling 11-7 again Thursday. I love how you guys all know 11-7, the code for that. Miro looked good, but not quite like Miro yet. Yeah, of course. Playoff hockey is the fastest kind of hockey. Also, sounded like lots of skates bumping on ice when trying to stop cut tonight. Not sure if ice issue or ESPN sounded issue. I have not been a big fan of the ESPN audio compared to TNT. I don't know if that was the case. Stars ice can get bumpy. But yeah, I'm not sure about what that is. I didn't pick up with what you're hearing. You have good ears, my friend. Super Nuver Overs. Great to have Miro back. He looked as expected, but still had some good plays. Miko to Mikael is just such a beautiful thing to watch. Finish. It's go Stars. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we need to talk about with Mikael Granlund, and one of the reasons that I want him back, in 4 Nations, Mikael Granlund got one of the assistant captain labels. That's really important when you think about it, because that is room leadership. And there are a lot of players on that Finn team, and they chose him. So just a little aspect as far as a good room guy with veteran experience. All right. Aaliyah, tonight felt really good other than the penalties. I know how good the PK is, but it always makes me uneasy. It certainly does. Autinger made some big saves. Jets will be in desperation mode Thursday. Need to get into Connor's head fast and make sure we are good spots for rebounds. Absolutely. You got to go all out. You have to be physical. I thought the Stars to begin this game were not physical enough. I didn't feel as though they put enough pressure on Winnipeg in the defensive zone. I thought that they got caught in their zone, and that kind of started the Winnipeg confidence. So all those things they kind of need to correct, but a win is a win. So thank you so much, Aaliyah. Always appreciate you supporting Spits and Suds. Cooper Kellerman, Finns win. Miro it out, boys. Cheers. Yeah, cheers. Here we go. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Need to treat game 5 like game 7. Close it out, boys. Cheers. Steven says, I thought the narratives about Autinger competing with Hellebuck for the Olympic starting job were a bit ridiculous at the beginning of the series, but especially after a game tonight, Jets outplayed the Stars and Otter still won. He's probably convincing folks. Absolutely. Jake Oettinger gets up for these moments. So I use this example over and over. Loves playing Minnesota because that's where he's from. Loves playing Boston because that's where he played in college. Loves playing Connor Hellebuck, an American goaltender. And he would like to be, meaning Jake Oettinger, top 3 in the league, or known as top 3 in the league. Okay, Lenny, cheers, Gavin. What a game. Drinking a Voodoo Ranger, Tropic Force. Holy smokes. I love the Finns. Can't wait to see Miro get a little healthier. Absolutely, my friend. Husky has another Dr. Pepper in his hand. It initially felt like this was going to be a repeat of game 2. Certainly did. Stars looked dead to rights the first half of that game. When Ehlers tied it off a goal Jake should have had, I thought it was over. And it was the start of the wheels falling off. So glad I was wrong. It's Dr. Pepper time. You know what's so funny is when your goalie is playing as well as Jake Oettinger, when that goal was let in, I don't know if you were like me, but I was like, oh, that's a bad goal. But you know, that happens every once in a while. Like all of a sudden I was a Jake Oettinger defender based on how he was playing. All right. Noah Brown with the pretty background has the Stars flag flying high, the Stars glass. Otter stood on his head tonight. What a performance by Granlund in his first career playoff. Hattie, one more win. What does this do for Jim Nill's candidacy for a three-peat GM of the year? I really do think it certainly might put some more votes in his favor. Cheers, Gavin. Let's have a night. Yes, cheers. So I got excited and I tweeted out Natty Hattie, and it actually technically is not a natural hat trick because although it was 3 straight goals, it was not 3 straight consecutive goals because Winnipeg had scored. So therefore, bad on me. But I will leave my mistake up. Millsy says, we are skating the cup. Ooh. All right, Millsy, I hear you. All right. Drinking a nice Frosty there out of the glass. Jake is dialed in. Our depth is insane. Outer Groove, 3 Wide Brewing in the glass. Texas hockey. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about 3 Wide Brewing. So nice picture, Millsy. Always great to see you. Christopher DeHardy, I'll toast the win with an iced coffee tomorrow morning. Let's end this thing in Winnipeg and get some much needed rest. Yes, I am also going to enjoy some coffee. My coffee of choice right now is White Rock Brewing Company. I think they do a real nice bean. I'll have to send you some, Christopher, since you're not from around here. I will get some out to you. Just need your address. Ryan McDermott says, Finns to win. Great to have Miro back and only going from there. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Ryan. Bubba Knocker, all the pumping of Granlin tires was well worth it. What a moment to have your best game of the season. Certainly. We have been pumping his tires big on Spitz and Suds. Number 2 made me realize that people are not lying when they say, A, depth matters, and B, all that matters is winning. I thought Dallas got outplayed. All right. Number 29 was elite. Yeah. I think that's agreed by many that they were outplayed for a majority of the game. Not the third period. And certainly the Stars took advantage. Adam Deacon across the pond. Hey, Gavin, enjoy that Frosty, my friend. Wow. Otter putting on a masterclass. Granlin, Hattie, Miro back, and Rope chucking knuckles with that Scheifele. What a night. Only downside was the penalties. Got to sort that out. They also need to be a little bit better in the face-off circle. Winnipeg is not strong in that category, but beat the Stars tonight in that category. However, what a game. Elite goaltending stole this game. Granlund got the hat trick, but I think in the future, when we are at the Olympics in Milan, we'll look back at this game as the game that Jake won the U.S. starting spot. Interesting. We have to see how Swayman responds to this year. There's a lot of American goalies in the mix, but Jake Oettinger is certainly getting close to taking the lead. And that's a beautiful thing for Stars fans. Aaron Thacker, Phenomenator, and Granlund. Honestly, this was a really solid team win where they matched the Jets' effort and then some. Miro looked amazing. My Frosty is a water tonight. Nothing wrong with some great agua. Remember, your Frosties can be whatever you want, but it's all about the celebrations. Erlen Osborne enjoying a Shinerbach in a frosty glass. Oh, that was a nice dark shiner. A little iffy at times, but the Stars pulled it off. Yes. Yes, absolutely. They did pull it off. Congratulations, and thank you for supporting Spits and Suds. All right. Chris at DSF shared this separately, but rocking the cold ones from Two Pillars Brewing in Calgary in honor of this massive W. That's really cool. All right. Nothing like some good old Calgary craft beer. Tim Ciesco, Otter was phenomenal tonight. Thought he was even bigger than Granlund in this game. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime someone scores a hat trick, they'll be the top star, but Otter was massive. Thank you so much for Tim for chiming in. Daniel Long with the Miro reverse retro. Oh, yeah, you do. You do have that reverse sweet Heiskanen sweater that you have with the Miller Lite. That's kind of like a delicious dewsome right there, or twosome, I should say, at 1:32 a.m. All right, Adam Deacon, enjoy that Frosty, my friend. Wow, Otter putting on a master class. Only downside was the penalties. Got to sort that out. Nina says, all I got to say is Otter's better, and I love my country, Finland. Heck yeah, my friend. Absolutely love hearing from you, and you so great. We can add a Finn. We could just take one of those pins and put it next to Finland now. We have Australia. We have England. We have Italy. We have Switzerland. We have all over the U.S. You guys are amazing. Belfour's Billions. What a game to be at. Heck yeah, man. Congratulations on being there. All right. Chris Elder, post-game Frosty, not getting tired of the playoff Hatties anymore soon. Hope the guys can close out Thursday. Yeah, it is absolutely amazing the amount of hat tricks the Stars are putting off in this playoffs. RJ, if Jim Nill isn't the best GM in the league, I don't know who could be. Yeah, he's certainly tops. Hopefully he doesn't retire anytime soon. Groot says, what a game for Gavin. Difference in this game was the goalies and a dude that Gavin told us before the postseason to watch out for. He gave us not one, two, but three clutch goals. The lead again, and the 2-goal lead in the third. Enjoy the Frosties. Groot, thank you so much for remembering. A few of you guys have remembered that I have been tooting the horn of Mikael Granlund and all that he does, and just tremendous. He's been really good on that third line. He's really been a good fit. Like at first you look at Mikael Granlund and you're kind of like, I'm not sure he kind of maybe a second or real strong third liner, but he can go anywhere up and down, and he's proven that. And he's really proving that on that first line. Okay, Travis at Salty Self. Soft calls by officials regarding the ban. Like Sagan's first minor, it's May 13th. Let the boys play. Austin T, he loses his brain once a series. Have to be better regarding Jamie Benn. Scott Watson, who's a CPA. Trade deadline feels like a fever dream that never ends. In Nill we trust. Heck yeah. Why Joe number 53 is elite. Cheers to you, my friend. 3 hat tricks by trade deadline ads. Yeah, absolutely. Aaliyah also adds, big day for the Gavin Spittle Granlin agenda. Now all we need is a Blackwell hat trick, and more of you will be like, oh my God, Gavin. All right. What the Blicken says, natty though, man, it should be a natty, but you know what? Winnipeg scored. I don't care. It's a natty in my book, but technically it's not a natty. But I'll take it. All right. Fuzzy, high glove side on every shot. That's Hellebuck's weak spot. Need to pepper him from there. Now, interesting that Fuzzy says that, because remember what teams were doing against Jake Oettinger last year? High glove side. It's not happening anymore. So Jake Oettinger made an adjustment, and you can only make adjustments in the off season or really in training camp. You can't really force adjustments for a goalie during the playoffs. Ryan McDermott says, let's go. Love it. And I think that's about it. Wow. I'm out of breath. It's 1:36. I love you guys. Absolutely feel like we could go all night. And if the Stars keep going, we will go all night. Maybe we'll start putting this thing on the radio on 105.3 The Fan so you guys can call in person. That would be absolutely amazing. So for producer Gregory Finley, who stayed up this late to be with you and put this together, I'm Gavin Spittle of 105.3 The Fan. We'll be back with another Spits and Suds episode soon. Remember, tell your friends about Spits and Suds. Have a great night and a great day tomorrow, everyone.